In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights, dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Blind guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. What's good, y'all? What's good, y'all? Y'all tuned into an Eagles preview show. Not technically a pregame show today, but it's a preview show featuring my man, Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk. Make sure you guys go subscribe to him. And I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Like I said, I know you guys are used to these shows Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I know you guys are used to a whole different flow with this, but Marcus and I had some things we got to take care of early Sunday morning, and we wanted to make sure we kept you guys fed. That was the goal. Keep you guys fed. Don't drop the ball. However we got to get it done, right, Marcus?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wife told me she wanted to go up to the Columbus Flea Market Sunday morning, and I was like, we can do that. She was like, don't you have the show? I said, yeah. She was like, nah, don't worry about it. I said, nah, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. So
for sure,
gonna spend some family time. I'm gonna be back before the first game start, so it's all good.
Definitely. And listen, happy wife, happy life, happy spouse,
Absolutely.
Happy house. You know what I'm saying? Ain't just about the ladies, so we got to compromise for the fellas too. But she tried it, but you gave it to her. It's all good though.
Yeah.
We appreciate y'all for locking in as always. Again, we know this is the impromptu version of the show, but we appreciate y'all for being here nonetheless. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show. We ain't going to waste too much time here. We're going to get right into the content. It's been a very eventful week for the Philadelphia Eagles, as we already know. Drama-filled, a little bit of chaos, sprinkled with a little bit of, optimism, right, depending on what side of the fence you stand on. Before we get into the Steelers action, because that's the main reason why we're here, we're going to touch base on briefly what happened this week and where do we go from here. I know a lot of you guys want to move past it emotionally and spiritually, but the reality is it's something that's going to be a conversation piece going into this game, no matter if we like it or not. These guys on all these platforms, these national guys, the commentators, it's going to be a conversation. This game, this Steelers game, this Eagles Steelers game has turned into a primetime game because everybody's going to have their eyes on Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. But Marcus, again, we ain't got to get too deep into the details. We all know what happened. Where do the Eagles go from here, knowing what we know about this Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown dynamic?
Nowhere. They're going in the same direction. The goal is still the same. Nothing has changed. That's the one thing. And this is sometimes where I pull the card where, I've been in the NFL locker room. So I understand what that dynamic is. And I will ask anybody that's in the chat right now, if you have siblings, if I was to be walking by and just catch you in an argument with your siblings or your significant other, does that mean you don't love them? No, that means me on the outside caught a snapshot of a moment, and that's it. You don't understand what goes on every day. And when I tell you stuff like that in the locker room is not uncommon. The biggest takeaway I've had for this whole situation, honestly, is how disappointed I am in Brandon Graham for putting it out on Front Street like that. Because I did not have a problem with what AJ said. I certainly didn't have a problem after I watched the tape, because he never said what was done or what, missed targets or anything like that. But when I looked at the tape and I was like, Jalen, you missing wide open receivers and you're looking their way. Why aren't you getting rid of the ball? That's the question I ask. And I'm looking at the closer we get to the playoffs, the margin for error gets thinner and thinner and thinner. So what happens is You must take advantage of every opportunity you get. You look at Tristan McCullum, drop that pick, hit him dead in the hands.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they end up scoring on that drive?
No, that was a fourth down.
That was a fourth down?
Yes, that was a fourth down.
I can't. It just seems like, okay, yeah, you're right. My mistake. Mm-hmm. But when you don't take advantage of opportunities like that, it ends up burning. And those were glaring opportunities. You looked his way, he was open. You got to deliver the ball because you've done it before. So if I can chalk it up to a bad game, everybody has them. If you a Hall of Famer, if you on the bench, everybody's going to have a bad game. Guess what? Everybody looking at Josh Allen as the lead for the MVP. Didn't nobody have this type of energy when he went 9 for 30 when they lost to the Texans? Nobody said anything about it. Everybody get a turn to have a bad game. That was Jalen's bad game, and he knows it. And I think A.J. Brown, some people didn't like how he said it. I'm like, I don't care. You hear much worse than that in film session. Much worse. Mm-hmm. And this is where people on the outside looking in, and I'm talking mostly fans, but when you get these former players, but they gotta act a certain way because they own the show. But they know better. They've been in them situations where they done got cussed out. So I understand they doing what they got to do on the show, but stop pretending like you ain't never been in that situation or you ain't never cussed nobody out in film session. Like it's not even that bad. But again, my biggest takeaway is like, BG, why you put them on Front Street like that? Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be having this conversation. They'd still be annoyed at what AJ said, but by this time, all of that stuff would have been smoothed over.
Right.
But because it was BG, now everybody puts more credibility to it. And it's exactly. Bro, you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. Come on, son.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, man. And again, the last thing I want to do is try to drill this thing because we all know how this thing went down. But, just to turn the page a little bit, the reality is, at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to say that this is a make or break situation for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They're either going to grow. They're either going to grow from this and come back with a vengeance, or they're going to remain the same, right? Things are going to be disjointed, whatever we assume it to be. But I'm pretty much with you. These guys are professionals. These guys, look, it's 50 plus men on this roster. 50 plus grown ass men. It's probably well over 100 people in the building at a time. It's probably well over 80 people on the sideline at any given time. You never know. But the bottom line is, you think everybody, and this part isn't even about AJ Brown or Jalen Hurts, but you think everybody is skip to my Lewin through the building holding hands? You think everybody eating together? No, everybody got their clique. They group. Everybody respect each other, of course. But everybody got their group, they their friends or whatever it may be, right? Okay, me and these guys, this guy probably comes home to my house for dinner, but this guy probably will never. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many people on a team. It's hard to just assume everybody is just kumbaya, right? But as far as AJ Jalen Hurts thing, I don't think it's that deep in the end.
No,
I think the real conversation is, where does Jalen Hurts go from here as far as performing on the field? Because like you said, that film, that was not his best game.
The film don't lie.
Exactly. The film don't lie. And on top of that, I just believe that Jalen Hurts, he looked hesitant. He looked apprehensive. I feel like that was his worst performance of the season. I don't care how efficient he was or what the stat sheet says. My eyes, he did not look like himself. But going into the Steelers game, he has an opportunity to redeem himself, and it's going to be against one of the top tier defenses in the NFL. When you look at this Steelers team coming in, and they have their own fair share of issues, right? As far as the key injury, they're going to be without George Pickens in this game. That is a big loss for them. A big loss. He's their deep threat. He's Russell Wilson's favorite target right now. I'm curious to see how Russell Wilson pivots from him. They do got some guys I like. The kid Austin. They got another guy. I think they got Van Jefferson over there as well. They got Mike Williams. So he has some people to throw to. Let's not get it twisted. But George Pickens is that go-to guy. I'm curious to know how Jalen Hurts gets his go-to guy going against this top-tier defense in AJ Brown.
I know people are going to get tired of me saying this,
mm-hmm.
but you don't change a thing. Let me say it like this. The one thing I wish they would do more of, if you every pass you throw AJ Brown could be a quick slant. Every pass. Because eventually he's going to break a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does best. So in my opinion, you put him in motion, you shift him, you move him from outside to inside, inside to outside, whatever you got to do. Line him up in the slot, put him at fullback. I don't give a damn. But get that man on a corner where he's being picked up by a linebacker and get him across the middle. He is going to win that battle. He is going to win that battle. That's all you got to do. Get them quick slants, get them involved early, whatever you got to do. It's been proven in the past, and eventually he's going to break a tackle and turn a 5-yard pass into a 15 to 20-yard splash play. He's done that all year. And yes, Jalen Hurts had a bad game, but also this is still the dude responsible for throwing to the guy that had 125-yard receiving yards for 6 straight games. It's that dude. So don't tell me he can't do it. So for whatever reason, he was in a funk, or like Jalen says, he had to flush it. All you got to do is go back to the fundamentals, go back to the basic stuff that has worked. Just like the defenses watch film, offenses watch film on Pittsburgh. They know what works and what doesn't most of the time. They put down and take their percentages and stuff like that. This is where the analytics guys really go overboard, because this is when it really matters, especially if it's 2nd and 7 and they play this defense 38% of the time. Then you come up with a pass play for that defense, and you know what, you might be right 38% of the time, but that's when the chess match comes in. But there are still some plays that we have on offense that can't be stopped, and that's what you lean on when you're struggling. I keep saying about running Saquon up the middle, get him outside off tackle zone reads. It's hard to stop it. AJ is the same thing. Go across the middle. Yes, they are guarding him like he's the number one option as receiver. Okay, then you got to open him up with Devontae. But you can't keep having these routes where he's holding the ball for 4 damn seconds.
Yeah.
He's got to be able to get rid of the ball in less than 3 seconds, period. And you got to have routes to accommodate it.
Yeah, I really couldn't agree with you more. I think that's been one of the issues that we've all had over the past couple seasons. We feel like a lot of these routes that have been called or orchestrated, they take a while to develop. Yeah. And if you want to speed up that clock, if you want to get the ball out of his hands, you got to create opportunities for these receivers. You got to create opportunities for the quarterback to get the ball out of his hands quickly. I want to get into some of the metrics here as it pertains to the Steelers defense, because again, this is a top 10 defense in the league. I would like to believe. And I'm looking here. It says here, as it pertains to, let's look at just their total defensive numbers, right? They're giving them 18.3 points per game. That's 5th in the league. They're giving up 310 yards, 310.2 yards per game. That's 7th in the league. They're giving up 5.3 yards per play. That's 8th in the league. They're allowing teams to convert 3rd downs on a 32.47% rate. That's 2nd in the league. They have arguably one of the best 3rd down defenses in the NFL. Their 4th down defense, not so much though. They're giving up 68% of those opportunities, which is 27th in the league. And their red zone defense is kind of middle of the pack. It's 13th in the league, upper half of the league, but closer to the middle of the pack. Their red zone defense is 13th with 53.66% allowed. So their defense is extremely talented. They can stop the run. They have some pretty talented guys on the back end. Joey Porter, guys of that nature. They're a good defense. T.J. Watt, Highsmith. They are a very good defense, and they're well coached. I'm curious about the chess match between Kellen Moore and Mike Tomlin's defense.
Didn't we just go through this with Baltimore?
That is very true. And it's funny you say that, because I think the Steelers haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher until they met Saquon Barkley. So for me,
Baltimore
I'm not worried about as far as with that running defense is capable of, right? I know what this running back and this offensive line is capable of. This is going to be good on good.
Right. And so when you're talking about the chess match, Steelers have a plan, right? And it all hinges on whether or not they can execute said plan. So if their game plan is to limit Saquon and make Jalen beat him in the air, that depends on how well of a job they do in limiting Saquon. If they still because if you want to do that, okay, then you got you're leaving AJ and Devontae on islands. I'm gonna take that battle, but I think what they're going to look at is, okay, this is what Jalen has done the last couple of games, so I will take my chances stacking the box because he's not been doing a very good job throwing the ball downfield. That's the gamble that I think the Steelers are going to take. I think they're going to take a little bit of the Tampa Bay game and try to bring some disguised blitzes, because the one thing that people have done this year that has been successful against the Eagles is the delayed blitz, where you have the linebackers walk up. So now you got 7 to 8 people at the line of scrimmage. So now the offense has to figure out, okay, who's coming? And then what happens? One of those linebackers or both end up dropping off. And what I saw last week, I think the Carolina Panthers did this. The linebackers dropped back, but the one of them, after they dropped back, he still came. So when your offensive line is looking in a different direction, they get that delayed blitz. Or when you think they're dropping back and then they come anyways, all of this is just to throw off the offensive line on what they're supposed to do and try to get them confused. Because when you cause confusion on the line of scrimmage, somebody's going to miss a block. And then that's how you initiate pressures. And I think that's what Mike Tomlin is going to do. He's going to look at that Tampa Bay tape. Everybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to look at that Tampa Bay tape and look what Tampa Bay did to us. Bringing the blitz, sending 2 men in the same gap, things of that nature, delay blitzes, twists. They're going to try everything. And the one thing, once again, everybody has seen on tape is Jalen is taking a lot of sacks this year. Jalen gets sacked statistically 1 out of every 4 times. He's like 20, almost 25%, isn't it? I think. So he's getting sacked a lot. But I think he's getting sacked because, and I go back to my thing, and I was wrong when I was saying he need to stay in the pocket a half second longer. And I'm like, man, get the hell up out of there. Get your exit strategy, find out which hole to hit, and bounce. Because every time he stays back there, or he ends up scrambling to his left or to his right, that's when crazy things happen. Keep doing what you get the ball out of your hands quick. If you standing back there for 3 seconds, if you done took a hitch 3 times, that's 3 seconds gone. Now you almost at 4 seconds. It's time to go. And I think it's hard to call it a mistake because he's hitting the deep ball a lot. But the stats go down when you're trying to roll to your left or roll to your right and throw deep. I would rather you run, move the sticks, and live to fight another day, get another 4 downs. So we'll see what they do. But to your point, this will be a very interesting game plan to see what Kellen Moore has done, because I want to see what he's going to do to get AJ the ball. But are we going to overcompensate trying to get AJ the ball and forget about Saquon? We got a habit of doing that, and I don't want to do that. Deal with what got you there, and what has gotten us there is Saquon 25 times a game at least. Don't stop doing that.
You said something that stood out to me about people trying to mimic what the Buccaneers did, right? And that was a unique situation. Obviously, you're missing a ton of players, but when I think about that game in contrast to what's been going on the past several weeks, I mean, you can argue every team has tried to mimic what the Buccaneers have done, and they failed because the Philadelphia Eagles have either dominated them or they won the game somehow, some way. So I'm trying to figure out what game other than that one can the Steelers use to their advantage to try to manipulate the situation? Because again, yeah, you can watch that game all you want, but it kind of has an asterishness to it. And when you're on a 9-game winning streak from that point forward, at some point you got to start to focus on who they are today versus who they were at that point.
Absolutely.
So I think yes. So I just think the Eagles are again, the only thing going into this game that people should have any real concerns about is how they respond from, the blunder earlier in the week, right? But as far as just player for player, team, like I look at the Steelers and I've been very impressed with how they won this year. Russell Wilson has taken their offense to another level, right? Especially that George Pickens combo. But without George Pickens, I'm just curious to see how their passing game flows beyond that. Russell Wilson is still somebody that can break it back. If you leave him a wide open enough gap, he will run for the first down. I think this is a game where it's going to be very physical. This game is going to be won and lost in the trenches. Won and lost in the trenches because
Always
TJ
in the
Watt and
same
those
place,
boys.
right?
It's always the same place, man. Because but here's the thing, right? The Eagles' offensive line is so good. I'm trying to think. Have they had a bad game this year? Right? Have they had moments throughout the game? Sure, but have they had a bad? I think not.
I don't think they have. There's been a couple games where when Mailata was out and Fred Johnson was over there, where he struggled.
He struggled,
but he held his own for the most part.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
I'll say he played better than expected.
Yeah,
he's trying to fill in for Mailata.
And also, he's a backup at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So you have to curb your expectations, right? But now Mailata is back.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Johnson, this offensive line, according to PFF, all of these guys have been graded in the top 10 all throughout the season. Cam Jurgens, I believe, has been ranked like 12th or 11th at one point.
Cam Jurgens was that dude.
Cam Jurgens has been a godsend, especially coming off of the Kelsey, the Kelsey career. And I expect Cam Jurgens to get significantly better.
Absolutely.
It's funny. It's funny. It's going to be a homecoming for Isaac Seumalo as well, right? I'm curious to see how Isaac handles this red hot Eagles interior.
Yeah, it never changes. Everything is won and lost in the trenches. Offensively, our offensive line is tops in the league, if not the best. Defensively, they don't have an answer for Jalen Carter other than holding. But that's where the battle is won. And I haven't seen anything because we played those teams where they got a good offensive line or defensive line, and they ain't been able to stop it. They have not been able to stop it. So, like I mentioned earlier, we had this same exact conversation when we was going into the Baltimore game, and everybody picked us to lose against Baltimore because Baltimore was just that much better. But you know what? Jeff Stoutland had them boys together. Vic Fangio had that defense together, and we did what we had to do to stop the most dangerous quarterback in the NFL and one of the most dangerous running backs in the NFL. Nothing changes. Pittsburgh got two good running backs. I believe we should be able to handle them. And
I'll be honest, I don't buy. There's something about Najee Harris. I don't buy into him at all. I've seen a lot of Steelers this year. He doesn't impress me. I'm sorry, man. I like Warren more than him.
You can't look at it that way. You can't look at it that way.
Okay.
You always got to look at it as who has the potential. That's all I'm saying. Because he's still good enough to read a block and take one to the house. That's the only thing that matters. So again, when we talk about running backs and stuff like that, don't necessarily look at the running back. Look at the offensive line, what they do. And he can still cut off a block, make reads, and he's still strong enough to make some of our DBs possibly want to make business decisions. But the way CJ and some of them guys have been coming up and playing physical, we got a good answer for that. But don't look at how many yards he has and stuff like that. Just look at the games and say, okay, that was a good cut. That was a good cut. That was a good block. That's how I look at it.
Okay.
And as long as a running back has the potential, he can burn you because it doesn't take much. So I agree with you, but he hasn't lost all his skills at all.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm not even saying that. It's just, again, I've happened to seen more Steelers games than I probably would have liked this year. Not saying they were bad, but just, I've seen a lot of Steelers games this year, and it's something about his game, the way he moves. I don't know if he runs too high. It just seems like he's always running into a brick wall somehow, or always choosing the wrong hole. Like it just I've never really been impressed with Najee Harris in the NFL.
Right.
That's just my humble opinion.
But look at it like this. Look at it from this perspective. What did we think of Bryce Young coming into that game?
That's a good point.
We didn't have much. We knew he was getting better. He had a bad rookie year, but he was looking better lately. But did anybody think that Bryce Young was going to come into Philly and outplay Jalen Hurts? Because that's exactly what he did. And he did that with his legs because he made some people look stupid. Did you see that clip of Vic Fangio in the booth?
Oh, yes.
When Josh Sweat
was irate.
When Josh Sweat missed the tackle in the end zone.
He was irate.
Yes.
He was irate.
And you did not expect that from Bryce Young. So all I say is when you got somebody that has the potential, everybody has the potential to have a good game. Everybody does. And we could have kept that Carolina game. We should have won by 2 touchdowns. But we didn't because Bryce Young made plays and we weren't expecting that from him. Not against our defense, not the way we was moving around. And we had that conversation. I'm not scared of Bryce Young. Well, guess what? He had a hell of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has that potential. Now, comparing that to what we about to face with Russell Wilson, is Russell Wilson a better quarterback than Bryce Young?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Sure. I think he is.
Yeah, for sure.
But does Bryce Young move better than Russell Wilson at this point in his career? Definitely. Absolutely. So how I'm taking it is after all of that cussing and fussing that Vic Fangio did in the booth because we kept missing. We were that close and we kept missing. I don't think they're missing this week.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The defensive line has got to stay disciplined because if they don't, Russell Wilson can throw the moonshots just like Jalen can. That's what we got to worry about. Now, it benefits us because Pickens ain't there today. But still got to stay disciplined. And when you get your hands on the quarterback, get his ass to the ground.
Yeah. It seemed like there were moments in last week's game that felt almost uncharacteristic for a handful of guys in that team. Because typically, historically throughout this winning streak, the Eagles, once they get hands on you, they pretty much get you to the ground. Last Sunday just felt like a weird game all the way around for a lot more people than just the quarterback and AJ Brown. But, I look at our defense right now. I still fear no quarterback. I still fear no offense because of how stout we've been on all 3 levels. Zach Bond has been arguably the best defensive player in the NFL with how he's been able to impact the game. He's been doing it in coverage. He's been doing it in run defense. He's been doing it in the open field, right? Just getting sacks. Nakobe Dean has been steady. The corners has been steady. It's funny, speaking of the corners, Cooper DeJean obviously easily had his worst game against the Panthers. He ran up against Adam Thielen, a technician, someone who doesn't have any kind of speed at all, but he's very technical in his job and he knows what he's doing. I called it white on white crime. And that was the first time that Cooper DeJean had his welcome to the NFL moment in that game. Yeah. Because that was the first time he looked like a rookie. And Quinyon hasn't really had that game just yet. Someone, constantly abusing him, right? It was so funny. I was watching the mic'd up. Even Saquon was like, they're going to Thielen. I'm watching the game. We know who they're throwing the ball to. And they still couldn't stop. Like, that game was so weird. Even tip balls was going into Adam Thielen's hand, right? So that's how you knew. See, you didn't just have to fight. You didn't just have to fight the opponent in front of you. You had to kind of fight, Lady Luck as well. But I think going into this game, knowing how last week went, I think we're going to see a ton of correction on both sides of the ball. Last week just felt like a undisciplined game. And this week, I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers are quite literally running into a buzzsaw. I know I say that about a lot of people, but I mean I mean it when I say it. I said it about the Ravens. I said it about the Rams. I said it about Washington. The Eagles are a team, especially coming off of that Panthers loss. I think the Steelers are running up against a highly motivated Eagles team, and they're going to get the Eagles' best shot.
Yeah, here's my concern.
Okay,
because we're at the last leg of the relay in regular season. How many games have we had this season where all three phases have hit: offense, defense, and special teams. How many games of maybe 3 or 4, maybe, where all three phases were solid? And we're still having those games where defense is good, offense isn't, special teams is mid. You know, the closer we get to the end of the regular season and entering into the playoffs, because we locked in. So
you were locked in, and if we win this week, we could lock in the second seed, depending on how things go around the league. But we have a chance to not only lock up the division, but lock up the second seed.
So all now, in my opinion, it's all about tightening this stuff up. You got to tighten everything up,
which goes back to what AJ Brown's issue.
Exactly.
His whole thing was, yo, I know the reason I said what I said for a reason. See, I love how he didn't regret. I love how he didn't regret what he said. He just wanted you to understand what he meant, because he only gave you one word answer, and he left it up for interpretation. And obviously, BG's the one that colored in the gaps. But regardless, though, AJ Brown's whole perspective was, hey, yeah, we know we can run the ball. Yeah, we know we're good on defense. We know we're good on special teams. We are in a situation where we got a chance to win it all, and I know we can. We got everything we need to win it all. So if we just tighten these screws here, we can't be stopped. Yeah. And I think that was his overall sentiment. If we tighten up over here, which I know we can, and we got a lot, and we got plenty of time to do it based off his estimation. He said we got time to do this.
Yeah,
because I know we got the people to do it. We tighten up, and we'll be on good footing.
And he knows that the time to get it together is dwindling quickly. Not to mention, we still got to work. We still got to have a clean game. We still can't get anybody hurt. We still, we got to get through the end of the season injury free. That's what. It's not always the best team is the healthiest team. You know what I'm saying? So all of the right now, Pittsburgh is without their best receiver. Detroit got all of those injuries. The Vikings still without their left tackle. You know what I mean? So there's some. I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be in that situation at all. So, but just a funny side note, and I posted this on my Twitter the other day, and I was like, Stafford and Brock Purdy both had trash games the other day. Deebo Samuels, after all his posturing, looked embarrassing. And you had that linebacker that walked off the field in the middle of the game in the third quarter.
The Devondre Campbell, right?
Devondre Campbell. So, having said all of that, and y'all worried about what AJ said in Philly, the hell out of here.
But
we ain't got them type of problem.
But that's the gag right there, right? See, I said this earlier on Twitter. Man. To your point, I agree with everything you said, right? That should be the story. What's going on with the Niners should be front page news. Right. Since they've been the darlings of the NFL for the past seveul seasons, the darlings of the NFC.
It did lead all of the shows yesterday morning. So they had a lot of conversation for it.
Yeah. But you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
But they understand that the Eagles fan base is arguably the most passionate fan base in football.
Yeah.
Arguably, right? It's you could
probably
argue,
low-hanging fruit.
You could probably argue the Bills, you could probably argue Steelers, Packers, whatever. But to your point, we are the low-hanging fruit. And we have a habit of taking the bait every single time.
Every damn time.
Because they know we are going to defend our guys to the bitter end. They know
bro.
They know we ride or die, bad boys for life. You feel what I'm saying? They know.
Yeah.
They know we're committed, and they use that against us. And it's a challenge remaining disciplined for myself, at least, to ignore those narratives that they try to paint. But I just feel like this team deserves a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt they've been getting over the past week or however long, right? It just seems like the moment, like they were waiting, because obviously the collapse last year, they're looking for any sort of thread to pull from that they can compare to that situation.
Yeah. And here it comes again. It's looking like last year. It don't look nothing like last year.
As if this has been an Eagles thing historically, right? Every team has that one season that's just, whoa, they left a lot to be desired, right?
Yeah.
But they talk about it as if the Eagles regularly build up all this steam in the beginning of a season, the first half of the season, and then they always drop off. Like they talk about us like we're the Cardinals. That's what the Cardinals do. The
Right.
Cardinals
And that
build up
happened
steam.
1 year. Happened 1 year. So I don't. And it really shows, again, and we've had this conversation before, it really shows who actually is tuned in to Philadelphia sports.
I'm glad you said that.
And who's just getting paper shuffled in front of their face.
Exactly.
It's very easy to tell.
There was a clip circulating from that show, the Facility.
The Facility?
Yeah. And
with Chase Daniel?
Yes. And I think it was on the 11th. He tried saying that Jalen Hurts needs to take accountability for his role and how that game went. A lot of this stuff can go away if Jalen Hurts just, steps up as the franchise quarterback and say, this is on me. And the reality is, when that game was over, he literally said, "Hey, this begins and ends with me. Like I did not play my best today, and so on and so forth." So that goes to your point. It goes to show you, like we have to curb our expectations about what we see from these guys on the national scale. They have no idea what's really going on. They
don't
have
have a clue.
None.
They
If
don't
it's
have a
anybody that probably has a real idea, is probably Shady, because he has ties into the organization and he's goated with us, right? But they have no idea overall what's going on. For you to go on national television and say what you said regarding Jalen Hurts, knowing it was a fallacy, knowing it was a lie, knowing it was completely inaccurate, like that's a problem for me. Y'all get paid too much money to, like that was beyond just opinion. That was just flat out a lie and inaccuracy.
But here's what I've come to realize.
They're not here to be accurate. They're not paid for accuracy. They're not paid for truth. They're not paid for honesty and fairness. They're paid for
traffic,
traffic and salaciousness, and they're paid to sensationalize the most minute situations and create these random questions that don't really make sense or that aren't really logical. Or I guess it just always blows my mind, to your point earlier about the guys who played the game before. It's like my expectations be a little bit higher for guys who played the game. But when you're attached to ESPN, when you're attached to Fox Sports, I have to change that because now you're part of the machine.
They're part of the machine. They're in the media. Somebody tried to give me pushback because one of my videos I said I count myself as the media now. I was like, I just have a podcast, but if I can put out information faster than they get it at ESPN, I'll put myself in that category. But at the end of the day, I'm tuned in to what I'm talking about. And everybody can't say that. They can't say that at ESPN when you got a earpiece in and you got somebody feeding you stats and analytics and all of that kind of stuff. And Jalen looked like he had a bad game, but he won the game. And you don't understand the context of the situation, down the distance, all of this type of stuff. It doesn't matter. So you can look silly as you want to look. You can say what you want to say. And think about it like this. What's the fastest way to get somebody to respond to you? Say something wrong and people will be quick to tell you were wrong. And it doesn't matter if you were right or wrong. If you got 1 million people slamming you, making you go viral to tell you were wrong, you still get paid off that traffic. And people are playing that. They're playing it from that perspective. They're being wrong on purpose.
And Marcus, they know it now. They know it now because now they're addressing it actually live on TV now. They're saying how they're on, there's a bounty on their heads, right? In Philadelphia. So you admit that you see the discourse surrounding your inaccuracies. So now they're pouring gasoline onto it.
And you got to play it. You got to play it out. Gibbs B, the Eagles fans cook Chase in the YouTube comments. And so what do you think happened? Now everybody's waiting for him. What is he going to do on the next time on the show? So now you got all of these people tuning in to see, is he going to say sorry? Is he going to admit his escape?
Of course not.
Or his mistake? But it doesn't matter. As long as you watch it, he wins and he cashes that check.
Exactly. At the end of the day, man. Let's transition a little bit. So again, you guys, Eagles Steelers Sunday, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Going to be a hell of a matchup. Going to be a very physical game. What's a matchup that you're looking forward to, right? We've kind of talked about overarching, team, right? Offensive side of the ball, defensive side, special teams. But is there a particular matchup that you're really curious about? I know some people have said they're really excited about the Lane Johnson, TJ Watt matchup. Is there any matchup that excites you?
That's what I would say would be I want to see Lane Johnson on TJ. And I want to see I'm getting a little outside the weeds, but shit, I want to see Sirianni versus Tomlin. I want to see who's going to win, who's going to outsmart the other, who's going to win that chess match. But and don't forget this. I need to know who's going to cover their tight end, because the tight end,
Freemuth is very good.
He is the security blanket right now with Pickens out. Because the one thing Russ Wilson does is he spreads the ball around a lot. But it seems like that tight end is very good. And let's go back to this whole thing about watching tape, right? Look what the Baltimore tight end did to us. Look what the Cincinnati tight end did to us. There's a common theme here. So we got to tighten that up. And he is already the security blanket for Russell Wilson. So we got to put somebody and guard that tight end and not let him go off.
Has it been, to your point, like all the examples you gave, do you think it's been for lack of personnel capable, or do you think it's been a schematic issue in how we handle tight ends?
I think it's been a schematic issue.
So lack of attention. So do you think it's a lack of attention?
No, I just think again, when you watch tape, you see what teams do. They drop back in the zone. Okay, you got this zone should be open. This zone should be open. Because as much as we love Vic Fangio is a creature of habit. How do teams keep finding that zone about 10 to 15 yards deep on our left side of the defensive side of the ball? Everybody seems to find that open zone when it's, 3rd and long, 3rd and 8 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're creatures of habit, this is what we run X percentage of the time when it's 4th and long, 3rd and long, whatever the situation is, and you attack that. And I think teams have had success because we always seem to give up 3rd and longs, and a lot of times they catch that sideline route that's usually about 12 yards deep. And it's right in front of the safety, but right behind, whether it's a linebacker or a defensive end drops back, whoever is guarding that zone, they know how to drop right in the middle of it. But that's film study, and that's the chess match. So that's the stuff that we got to watch out for. And those are the things that Vic Fangio's got to tighten up or change. Because, okay, this is who we guarding. This is who their personnel is. So we got to adjust to their personnel.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. And another thing that's really interesting about this game, both of these teams are very similar in how they execute their offenses, right? Both teams, the Philadelphia Eagles are ranked 1st in the league in rush attempts per game. The Steelers are ranked 2nd in the league in rush attempts per game. The Steelers are ranked 29th in the league in pass attempts per game. The Eagles are ranked 32nd in the league in pass attempts per game. So both of these teams really, really lean on their offensive lines, really, really lean on their running backs to set the tone for their passing game. What's going to be fascinating is, and we spoke about this earlier in the show, right? What's going to be fascinating is who will be able to hold the other's running game at bay. And if I had to roll the dice on that, I'm taking Saquon Barkley against anything they got over there.
Exactly.
I'm taking our offensive line against anything they got over there. All due respect to Isaac Seumalo, he one of our Super Bowl champion, right? But I'm taking what we got on this side way, way more against what they got on that side.
Yeah, and they understand that it's a challenge, and I'm quite positive that Mike Tomlin has let them know, like, we got a good one coming in. But at the end of the day, we stop Derrick Henry. And then Hubbard comes down and kind of has a good game against us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we've had our ups and downs.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we've been consistent.
Yeah, Marcus, I'll be honest. I don't care what they say. I think they took that Panthers team lightly a little bit. I think they did. I have nothing to prove that, but that's just a feeling I have, and I could be totally wrong.
But here's the thing with that. I can't disagree with you because I don't know what they were thinking.
Right.
But the whole conversation changes if Jalen Hurts plays a little bit better, and I don't think Jalen Hurts was taking them lightly. That's why I'm always careful when people talk about trap games and you can't take a team lightly. Like, no, you can't. I know people do. I don't think that's what we are doing. I just think sometimes when you're talking about professional teams where the other guys get paid too, I think sometimes that other team just has a day. Look at how we lost against the Giants and the Jets last year. We weren't supposed to lose those games. But if you remember, I remember the Jets game specifically when that was one of the first times we started throwing screen passes. And then one of the screen passes gets knocked in the air and they ended up intercepting it in the red zone. So different stuff like that happens. Everybody gets a turn. So I don't think we take people lightly. And like I said, that's
not people, just that game.
Teams.
I don't want. I don't want to make it seem like that's something they do. Like that one in particular.
I just don't. That's where I would look at Sirianni. Okay. It's like that is your job.
Got it.
To make sure you ain't taking nobody lightly.
And he doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. So,
no. And again, if it's not about taking them lightly, because let's say if two plays happen differently, we are not having this conversation.
Good point. I could tell you one right now.
First play of the game.
Say that again.
First play of the game.
Oh, I was going to say the fourth down in the red zone, the tip pass that Thielen caught.
Yeah, but okay, so that's 3 plays. But I'm looking at the situation. First play of the game. If Jalen hits AJ deep, he was wide ass open. That's a touchdown. The second one was if he hits. I know he threw the touchdown to Devontae, but if he throws the touchdown to AJ, he gets a touchdown for the day. Maybe he ain't talking about the,
passing. Yeah.
Talking about passing. And then you talk about the play. You know what I mean? So the play to Thielen. So there's always opportunities in the game that would change the whole conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't look at it as they took them lightly. I look at it as we didn't take advantage of the opportunities that we had to get them out of the game early.
Fair enough.
Because again, it should have been a 2-touchdown game that we should have won. And we didn't do that.
I could shift my thinking to that for sure. I'm willing to concede that. Let's get into our keys to the game, our bold predictions, our score predictions for this game. I'm really curious to see or hear what your keys to the game are. Obviously, we've kind of laid it out a little bit throughout the show, but I want to hear your definitive keys to the game. If the Eagles are going to win this, what needs to happen on both sides of the ball for them?
First on defense, because defense wins championships. I need Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, and Nakobe Dean to continue to play like they've been playing. That's it. I ain't got no special sauce. I don't need nobody to get 2 picks. None of that. All they got to do is keep making plays like they've been making plays. Jalen Carter has been unstoppable unless you holding them. Zach Bond has been freaking everywhere. I tell you what, I've been a fan of Nakobe Dean from the beginning, but Nakobe Dean is showing people that he has got some damn good feet. Because if you go back and you look at that game against Washington, when Jaden Daniels could have shook him and he made the tackle.
I feel like that was his best. Obviously, the interception in Jacksonville was the highlight, but
yeah,
I feel like that was his most technically sound play I've seen him have this season.
Exactly.
That was his most disciplined play of his young career. It's never those plays that get talked about. It's always the ones that, the flashy, the third down stop, whatever, or the interception. That, in my opinion, was his best play of the year, because that's the kind of play that can tell me whether or not if you've taken the next step.
Exactly.
Anybody can catch an interception at any time, right? Interceptions are more so about being fortunate and in the right place at the right time than being technical. But that play signified to me, he's crossed the bridge.
Yeah.
He's turned the corner. Now
And
he's elevated not only his mentals, but his physical. He's trusting what he's saying now. He's trusting his body. He's not thinking. He's reacting.
And they are complementing each other.
Yes.
Vaughn and Nakobe are complementing each other. And that's what we need. The secondary is doing what they do. Quinyon, Coop, CJ, GJ, and even Slay. Slay is still playing above board when he's not nicked up.
You heard what Q said about hear what Q said? He said still clamping shit with your old ass. You almost 40, still clamping shit.
Hey man, I will tell anybody, man. Slay, his speed is still impressive to be plus 30.
Yeah.
It's still impressive, man.
The off the field stuff that people don't like, okay, cry about that at home. But on the field, he's been a godsend his entire time here.
He still play. I just need him to stay on the field. That's it.
Yeah. And for him to be playing at I'm not going to say, like, Slay is not you could probably make an argument for whatever, but let's definitively, Slay has been a top 15 corner in this league. Definitively.
Absolutely.
And, if some people want to argue top 10, all right, you can do that. I'm not doing it. But definitively, he's been top 15. And Q has been the top 10 corner in this league. So
Absolutely.
When you put that together, you have arguably or easily probably one of the best cornerback tandems in the league. And don't let me throw Coop in there.
I will say this though, if Q doesn't get an interception by the end of the year, that's going to cost him defensive rookie of the year.
For sure.
He's been playing up to it, but like I said, in my opinion, it's between him and Jared Verse. And I got to give Jared Verse the lead because he's got the payoff of sacks. Mm-hmm. And Quinyon doesn't have any picks. Got to get it. You got to give me at least 2, man. Like, come on. But Jalen Carter, Nakobe, and Zach Bond. Those are just do what you've been doing. All right. On offense, I'm gonna say it again, man. Don't change nothing. Don't overcompensate trying to get the ball to AJ.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just do what you've been doing. Do what got you there. Make sure Saquon has anywhere between 20 to 25 carries. And you know what? You can still get the ball to Devontae and AJ and Calcaterra and make some things happen. I still want to see some screenplays because I think
the running back screens, right?
Yeah, but I want to see him underneath. I don't want to see him out to the side. I want to see. So just think of it like this. Saquon or Gainwell, they stay in the block.
And they leak out.
They just leak. They curl it right up in the middle. They stay dead middle.
Yes.
So Jalen ain't got to go nowhere. He can just dump the ball on.
Right.
Now, if he sees the exit strategy, go. You know what I mean? But I'd rather see the running backs get the ball and let them do what they do best.
Okay. I like that. You got any bold predictions for me? Anything that may not happen, but it would be super exciting if it did happen. Anything bold for me, my man?
I want to see, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, 4 sacks between them.
Oh, combined. And it don't matter how they get them. Just 4 between those. 4 between those two. I like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Ooh. Let me see what I got for you off the top of my head. I never premeditate my bold predictions because I want to be organic. Let's see here. It would be exciting. It would be really exciting to see. You know what? I think the Eagles are going to be snarky this week.
Snarky.
And what I mean by that is I think the Eagles are going to double down on who they are. And you're going to see Saquon erupt for 200 yards rushing.
I would love it.
Against this defense. If he drops 200 yards rushing against this defense, my whole thing, my whole stick is, hey, listen, you sure we can't run our way to a Super Bowl? You sure about that?
I don't understand why people are saying that we can't.
Because they believe that things get, you mentioned the margin for errors, but things get a little tighter. But regardless, though, I got Saquon. My bold prediction: 200 yards rushing.
Yeah, I want to see
200 yards rushing.
I hope to see it, man. Because he's 50-something yards for the all-time single season rushing record. It's less than 100 yards.
Wait, for the single season all-time? No. He has.
I just saw that.
Wait. Are you talking about are you talking about the Dickerson record?
Yeah. He was
No,
he's like 59 yards away from some record, some single season record.
Oh no. He got like 400 more yards until he get to that like Dickerson record. He got about like 400 to 500 more yards, I think. Let me double check that. But in the mean, he needs about 500 to break that record.
Okay. 2105. What did I saw something where he was close to some record. Somebody must have, it must have been a mistake. Had to be a mistake.
Anyway, do you got a score prediction for me, my man?
Not really, but I'll guess. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 27-17.
Oh, wow, okay. You got it as a double-digit victory. I'm gonna say because 27 was going to be my number, so I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna say 27-23 Eagles. I still think the Steelers are a really, really good team. They've been playing very well. Obviously, no Pickens, but I still think they can put some points up if need be. But I think the Eagles are going to edge them out. I say 27-23 Eagles. 27-23.
This game may show how good our secondary can be. Because they don't have the Steelers don't have a number one. So we should be able to shut them down. They should not have a wide receiver over 50 yards today.
I agree
but
with 100%.
But that's what I was saying. Russell Wilson can spread it out. So everybody's got to be covered. Everybody's got to be covered. And I think we gonna make Russell Wilson make a mistake.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. You guys, it's been a hell of a show. Thank you guys for locking in and where you guys have been. Again, we know this has been a different show, an impromptu pregame show or preview show. Marcus and I have some things we got to take care of tomorrow morning. That's why we're giving it to you guys early. But regardless, we appreciate y'all for locking in. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Pro Fan Talk. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Hey, Marcus, I need you to spin that shit.
Go Birds.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights, dashing like a running back, hitting every play. 9 guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing